Florence Villemino has been reading the French press. Hi, Florence.
Céline.
Good morning. Trade unions have called on people to demonstrate against the government's pension reform today here in France. A lot of papers are focusing on that.
That's right, especially the left-leaning press. Let's look at L'Humanité, the communist paper, which has a director's clapperboard on its front page today, and it says action for social protests against the pension reform. So in total, 17 trade unions and youth organizations have called on demonstrations across Paris and France. There should be about 180 demonstrations in total. And in its editorial, L'Humanité says that the government really thought that this pension reform would go through seamlessly, but French people are worried, and it quotes a recent poll that 81% of French people are worried about their pension. 69% feel like the government's policy isn't going in the right direction. So there you see it. Écoutez, listen to us, this appeal to the government in L'Humanité today. Although it's important to note that forecasts do suggest that the turnout won't be massive today in the streets of France.
L'Humanité is linked to was linked to the French Communist Party, but in the left-leaning press, there's a feeling that the government isn't putting workers at the heart of the reform.
That's right. Libération, so the left-leaning paper, really doesn't mince its words today as to who François Hollande, the president, is working for. They call him the boss's president. And they say in their editorial that people are still trying to figure out just who François Hollande is. What is he? Is he a social democrat? Is he a liberal democrat? It's very unclear. But one thing that is clear is that since he was elected, Libération says that he's really turned away from the left-wing policies that he championed during his campaign. Now, on top of the pension reform, Libération says that the government has been giving business owners all sorts of other gifts, whether it's measures to increase their competitiveness, tax breaks, not having any cap on wages for business owners, all this at the expense of everyday French people, according to Libération. And all this that goes against the very fundamental values of the Socialist Party, according to Libération. And this paper says that, the government is playing a very dangerous game here, though, because by trying to favor business owners and not increase measures for everyday French people, it's going to alienate its electorate, and that could really play against it in the upcoming municipal election.
Another developing story here in France, a Secularism Charter that is now on display in all public schools here in France. That's also getting attention in the press.
That's right. This charter has caused a lot of tension within the Muslim community in France because a lot of people feel like what it really is targeting headscarves. But it's also ruffled some feathers amongst Catholics. If we look at the front page of La Croix, the Catholic paper, they talk about this. This is their editorial, and they're talking about this charter because this charter is in the name of secularism. But La Croix says secularism isn't a war against beliefs. It's not a war against a religion. It's a principle that is actually there to promote freedom and respect of all belief systems, so long as these belief systems respect each other and non-believers. And Lacroix says that all this charter is going to do is make religion taboo and reinforce extremism instead of encouraging diversity.
And that's coming from a Catholic paper. Other papers, however, believe that the charter could be useful.
That's right. L'Humanité, the communist paper we looked at earlier, interviews Hubert Tison. He's the Secretary General of the Association of History and Geography Teachers, and he says that this charter could actually be very useful for teachers, especially when it comes to very touchy subjects like the Holocaust or Israel-Palestine, all these very touchy issues. According to him, this charter could actually back up teachers, give them strength. But Nouvel Observateur wonders, what about the students? Isn't this going against their freedom of expression? And doesn't this really target Muslim students? And they interview a political science professor named Eric Fassin, and he says that the real risk is that some students just won't participate in class because they're going to feel stigmatized.
And finally, French papers are focusing on comments made by the former Prime Minister François Fillon about the upcoming municipal election. What did he say?
That's right. He said that in the event of a socialist candidate running against a far-right National Front candidate, anybody who votes on the right should, choose the least sectarian candidate. And this has upset a lot of people because up until now, François Fillon has always been very clear that he was against the National Front. And so Le Figaro says that with these comments, he's really kind of crossed over a line. Libération also says this. This is a very clear change in policy for François Fillon. And what he's really trying to do here is fish for votes, according to Libération.
All right, Florence Villemino with the review of the French papers. Thank you very much. And coming up just after the break, an execution site turned into a museum. Our reporters in Romania show us where communist dictator Ceausescu was shot 24 years ago. That's in focus.